It's another episode to compare players, and today we are comparing two of the best wingers that we've seen probably in the last decade in the Premier League. And these two guys were a joy to watch for their respective sides. Mahrez with Leicester City was a joy to watch, and Mane with Liverpool was, something spectacular as well. Anyways, to try and point out who was much better, of course, we'll have Victor and Max giving us their thoughts. And starting with you, Victor. I know you're a Liverpool fan and you might be leaning towards Mane, but I'll go on to ask regardless, who was the better player in your opinion?
I think like with most of these episodes that we do, my opinions are going to ping pong from one to the other. That's what happened with all of them, bar one. And I think it might be the case here as well. But in terms of the better player, here goes. I think it was Mane. He was more productive, and I feel like his overall decision making was better, um, whether in offensive or defending scenarios. Then again, neither have like really great decision making because they're playing in the Saudi Pro League, right? Um, I think I think Mahrez's trophy cabinet was better, but Mane was harder for defenders to get a beat on to lock onto him. He was better in big games than Mahrez as well. And Mahrez often relied rather on form instead of substance. So I'm going with Mane for this one.
Mm, Many people might not agree, but anyways, moving on over to you, Max. Who do you think was more impactful for their club?
I mean, okay, I'd say like that. Mahrez won much more, obviously, with two different teams. But for me, even at Leicester, he wasn't the key player. Like, okay, he was obviously a
Hmm?
key player for team, but not the first one or second one. I
He
feel
was
like he was
probably
at
top
least
two.
third or fourth player from that
Mm.
team. I rate Vardy, obviously Kante, so he's somewhere near Drinkwater, for me at least at that season. So uh, at City, he was obviously not a key player for team. He wasn't even playing in start most of the seasons. So for me, Mane impact on Liverpool was much higher than any of Mahrez.
Wow, that's a mind-blowing answer, Max. Pretty mind-blowing because I don't know if I'm remembering maybe something else, but what I remember clearly is that if you removed Mahrez from that 2013 Leicester City side, then without his goals and assists, they don't win that Premier League. Without his goals and assists, they don't win that Premier League,
You
if
can
you
say
ask me.
say same for especially for Kante or mostly for Vardy.
Yeah, but the thing with Mane, the unfortunate thing about Mane is that there was always the debate about Salah, about him and Salah, about who was more important. So it was a case of if you removed Mane, there was still a Salah to give you that magic on the other side of the flank. But if you remove Mane, I mean, if you remove Mahrez from Leicester, for instance, I don't think they find that magic anymore. But anyways, that's my
Let's put
opinion.
it
Victor,
this
what do
way,
you think about that?
if if I may interject, let me put it this way: no version of Luis Diaz even comes close to prime Sadio Mane, and yet
Yeah.
they won the title.
Hmm.
Okay, without you put it very well. Without his goals, without his assists, Leicester that miracle trophy campaign does not happen for Leicester.
Exactly.
There's absolutely no doubt about that. Was he as important as Kante? I would say very close to that.
Yeah.
No, not even close.
Mhm.
But you should remember
Yeah.
that they won by
They
10
were they were they
points
were very close.
back to that season. So I'm not sure about them not winning without Mahrez. If at least around this level of player will be on Leicester team and that season, I most likely feel like they win anyways.
Don't
Mm.
get me wrong. I don't think like it's a landslide here. Okay, like I I I was looking at Mahrez and Mane, and I feel like when it comes to this particular question, who was the more impactful for their club? It's the closest call we've had for me personally in this show's history. Like it's really a 0.1% that I'm giving it to Mahrez. Mane was hugely impactful for Liverpool as well. It just feels like because of what happened with Leicester, I'm giving it to Mahrez.
Yeah, yeah, just a landslide, slightly edges Mane in this question, in my opinion, anyways. But yes, slightly.
Yeah, but he did it only in one season for Leicester.
Yeah, but the
Mostly,
one
He was
season is
not
the
even
one
Messi
season is
was good for 2 seasons with Leicester,
yeah,
okay?
yeah, but you should also
exactly.
remember that Mane was consistently good for like 3 or 4 years in a row for Liverpool.
Absolutely, but it's a different team that played totally different. You cannot compare. Leicester was smash and grab, was one season, a one-hit wonder. That was it. Liverpool, there's the expectations of performance that come with it.
I still feel like he was
Mhm.
at maximum third best player on Leicester on that season.
Okay, fair.
Okay. Okay, so moving on, yeah. So Victor, who was more of a joy to watch on and off the ball?
Strictly from an entertainment perspective, I'm going with Mahrez. He was flashier. He was more entertaining. He had more uh, tricks and flair about him. Mane was a harder worker, especially off the ball. He would always track back, help out on that left flank and defense. Mahrez was a bit more like Salah, rather tasked with the offensive side of things and just rely on his pace, rely on his trickery, and get things done there. So if you're looking at it from an entertainment perspective, Mahrez. If you're looking at it from a tactical perspective, I would say Mane.
Yeah, fair enough. And moving on, Max. If you were a manager, which of these players would you rather have in your team?
Okay, we're talking about right now or their prime. This is
No, their prime, anyone. Their prime.
okay, but I feel still like it's going to Mane for me because, as I said, Mahrez even in his prime wasn't the best player in his team, while Mane probably was the best player at the 2020 season for Liverpool, at least for me. He almost okay, he was in top five for Ballon d'Or, right?
Yeah.
So his peak was much higher than Mahrez, and also he was much more consistent overall. So even now, if you put these two in Premier League, I'm pretty sure Mahrez scoring like 5 goals and 5 assists, while Mane can still manage to at least 15 or 20 for me, even at this point
Mm,
of his career. So I'm definitely going with Mane.
closely. Okay, just before I'll ask the final question, I don't see Mane scoring 12 goals right now. I don't
Yeah.
see it happening. Maybe
No,
10. Maybe if it's lucky enough, 10 goals. If it's lucky enough, 10 goals. I don't see him doing more than 10. And that's me being generous.
yeah.
Anyways, moving on, I think Max already even touched a bit of the answer to this question already. Which player's quality, based on their prime, is more suited for modern day football, Victor?
I'd probably say both actually. Any top team could use either player's qualities from their prime. Um, but yeah, just like with your impact on the team question, it's extremely close, and like if I were a manager, I would go with Mane, and I think that would also make him a little bit better suited because he was more willing to work harder, and any manager appreciates that. I'm not saying Mahrez was lazy, but he, Mane would be more willing to give you everything on the pitch. And he was also a bit more resilient mentally, I think, and it helped him be a bit more consistent. So he would be a bit more involved in all aspects of the game in big matches. So I don't know. I think I would go with Mane. Also because if you look at Mahrez, in his City days, he was a bit more reliant on City performing as a team, whereas Mane was more able to carry Liverpool to a win by himself.
Yeah, Max, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd say like Mane is a fighter, definitely. While Morris, at his time, he was like playing for crowd, doing some crazy stuff, but not necessarily doing something to score. So in that case, I'll probably go with Mane.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have this expression in Romania, at least when we're talking about footballers. Uh, he's not willing to carry the piano. He just wants to play it. He wants to be the star. He wants to do all the trickery, but he's not willing to do much of the dirty work.
Yeah, fair enough. I think Mane would edge it for that because in modern day football, wingers are now required to, sort of track back, as well as much as they attack. And for that reason, Mane would just slightly edge him because he has the physicality, and the extra team ethics, to help a team. So yeah, I think I agree that Mane would do slightly better than Mahrez in modern day football. Anyways, it was a joy to compare these both players. It's another tough one once again. If you actually vouch for any player in any, it will almost be a landslide. It's not really set in stone which answer is right or which answer is wrong. And on that note, that's why we want our viewers to also contribute and tell us what they think, especially about the question who was more impactful for their club. Max believes that even without Mahrez, Leicester City would have won the title in 2013. What do our viewers think about that? We would like to see your comments in the comment section below and tell us what you think about these two players overall. We want to hear from you. Bye.